Okay, you guys. I came across a couple of videos on social media of hunger strikers, and to say that I am unimpressed would be an understatement, and to say that I find them obnoxious and disingenuous would be accurate. We're gonna watch the videos and have a conversation. Now, this is not about nothing in this stream is about the Israeli-Palestinian war. I'm talking about these protesters and their hunger strikes specifically. Not that we can't ever talk about that. I don't consider myself anything of an expert on Middle Eastern affairs, although I am on social media, so I know that whatever the hot button topic of the day is, everybody instantly becomes an expert in that field. I just missed the memo because unfortunately I'm not. Hi, Zuchen. Hi, Jordan. Hi, All Catcher. So we're going to let some, before we get into the meat of all this, as always, we have to wait and see what, if any, notifications are going to go out. Let our crew find their way here, and then we'll start watching the videos, breaking them down. And I'm really curious if you guys will agree with me on how you feel about this whole idea of their little hunger strikes. Again, I just think it's ridiculous. I think it's narcissistic. But we'll get into all that. Retro Mint Man says I blame Kevin Dunn. For those of you who don't know, that's a wrestling reference. Powers the Titty Goblin. Curious about this whole situation. Yeah, I'll be curious to see what you guys think. For any of you, well, a lot of you probably haven't seen this yet. Curtis says, "Hi, hope you're okay. Doing good for England. This is Curtis Day, is it? I like Curtis Day." Austin, easy, easy. No caps, all caps not necessary. I hate people going on strike. What about you? Do you like people going? Who are you voting for? Well, I can't make a general blanket statement like that. I I don't strikes in general. I mean, it depends on the circumstances. Now, this hunger strike, the that I'm about to we're about to discuss here, I think are absolutely ridiculous. Jordan says they won't stick to it for one day. I think they will stick to it until they're not getting the attention they want, because I think that's what this is about. I think a lot of people, especially that get so heavily involved in causes about which I don't think, put it this way, I don't think a lot of these people could have even found Israel or Gaza on a map just a few months ago. And it's like everything, especially nowadays with social media. And this isn't across the board, just like anything else. I mean, there are people who have genuine concerns, have had genuine concerns for some time on both sides of the issue, very important to them. I just think a lot of these college kids are just along for the ride and the camaraderie and the attention. Owlcatcher says from overseas here, most people here are watching these protests with a bit of bewilderment. Yeah, it's the thing right now. It's the thing to do in certain circles. And again, because I know we're going to, well, not that I care, we're going to get people crying about it. Well, you don't understand what this one did to that one. We're not talking about the conflict itself. We're talking about these specific protesters and hunger strikers. Yeah, Mint Man says, I've gone on hunger strikes before. They typically last 5 minutes till my mom says dinner is ready. Yeah. Ashenmint says, what is your opinion on Israel and Palestine issue? Let's get spicy. I was talking about that a few minutes ago. I see things, I read things. I don't have a full breadth of knowledge on those issues. And I hesitate to get too deep into something that I'm just not really that well versed in. I mean, I know everything that's gone on from October 7th of last year on. But if you start wanting to go back further and try and determine who's right, who's wrong, who's infringing on who. I know bits and pieces of the history, but as I said, unlike a lot of people on social media, I don't dive in with heavy opinions on something when I don't have a heavy opinion when my knowledge is light. Hunger strike worked for Gandhi. Yeah, and that's the thing. Those are the types of people. That's actually a good point, Sideshow Man. Because if you are somebody with a huge following, if you're a religious leader, just any type of figurehead, okay, a hunger strike can be effective only because you've got the masses behind you, and whether or not you're on a hunger strike matters. But we're going to talk about that more. As far as these people, I don't see why they think any of us care if they go on a hunger strike. Asherman says, I don't understand cheering for Hamas. Terror attack was brutal. It's hard for me anyway to cheer for either side because they're both extremely violent. Now, then it just becomes a case of, and that's what we see all the time in the arguments on social media, is who is more justified in their violence towards the other. That's what it comes down to. Okay, we're going to do that. Okay, guys, check this out. Here's the, this is the first hunger striker that I came across. Here we go.
Any people of conscience in the Princeton community, students, faculty, alumni, to participate with the striking students in a solidarity fast.
That one's tough for me because there's being that I don't believe she's a genuine person, and being that I think she's just somebody looking for attention, there's a lot of jokes there that just wrote themselves. And I gotta I gotta be careful because I really do want to keep the channel. So I got to be a little bit careful of how far I take the joke. I think I can safely say this much though. If her hunger strike goes on for an extended period of time, her local Krispy Kreme and McDonald's may go out of business.
The last few hours, we've had commitments from at least 6 people from Princeton Theological Seminary to participate in this solidarity fast, with more coming in by the hour. At the seminary, we've also been calling our school.
Did she say a whole 6 people have joined? Wow, this really is an earth-shaking movement, isn't it? Wow. Plus her, I think, wow, that makes 7. Whoo. Asherman says, I mean, if she is a college kid, she probably thinks she's doing the right thing, so it's kind of understandable. She isn't violent, let her cook, no pun intended. And see, that's where I have an issue with it. If she thinks she's doing the right thing, but doesn't really have I doubt the sincerity of her concern as opposed to the idea of just finally trying to find a place to fit in. You know, because obviously it's all over the college campuses right now, and what better way to get props from your peers than to not take that step further. I'm not only protesting, I'm going to stop eating until they do the right thing. I don't care if she stops eating. I'm going to say that a vast majority of people don't care if she stops eating. I think it's narcissistic, insanely narcissistic, to think that this institution, whether you agree with the way they do things or not, is going to change their structure and the very way they approach life because you're not going to eat. Who cares? Don't eat. So, Powers the Titty Goblin says, see, my thing is, what does fasting accomplish? Self-harming and anticlimactic to watch. If you want to show support, do so in a way that has a helpful effect. Yeah, but the thing of it is, this is something she can put on social media, get a lot of likes for. On campus, I'm sure, she's a bit of a hero now. Oh, look at, taking it to the next level type thing. Yeah, and like Kevin says, I don't care if she eats me either. Go on a hunger strike. I'm going to have my hamburger tonight. Okay, let's check some more.
And I divest for the last several years and want to join together with the students from the university in their hunger strike. Almost every faith tradition in the world engages in the spiritual practice of fasting.
Okay, this one is something that's more personal for me. If you're speaking from a heart and something means that much to you, it lessens the impact to me when you got to read your speech off a teleprompter or off your phone. This makes it look like you thought of doing this 20 minutes ago, and you quick scribbled your demands and your thoughts down on your phone, and now you're going to go get your attention. That's the way it's. If it, I don't know, it means that much to you, you shouldn't need to write it down.
The three major Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, are no exception to this. Jesus himself said, of some evils in the world, they require both prayer and fasting. And we are here to live into that word.
I found that to be one of the most smug, obnoxious things I've ever heard, until you see the next video, which is even more smug and obnoxious. But I saw this one first. So until this point, even look at that face. Oh, look at that face if I show it to you. I don't buy it. I don't believe that there's any sincerity there at all. Chrome says, oh, she's going on a hunger strike with that waistline. Is this a bad thing? I did take notice that if there's one entity that will appreciate the hunger strike, it's the hip section of those coveralls, because they could use a little relief. Goku loses to a heart, says, my daughter and I just finished Hunter x Hunter. Oh, wow, what a show. We've started Black Clover. It's okay, but definitely not Hunter and storytelling. Oh, my friend, as far as I'm concerned, it's tough to find anything that's Hunter and storytelling. One of my all-time favorites, if not my very favorite. And outside of One Piece, it's tough finding anything that measures up to it in storytelling. They're out there, but it's tough. Amazing, amazing journey. Sideshow Man says, it's more meditation and trying to relate than a political statement. Fair enough. Don't call it a strike then. She didn't even make any demands. Well, I guess she's got some behind her. I think they cut that part, Sideshow Man. She's got demand to drop criminal charges. She wants people that committed crimes while they were protesting to just have their charges dropped. And she's going to affect that by not eating. The criminal justice system is supposed to give a shit if you eat breakfast or not? Shut up, you freaking raving narcissist. I honestly believe these people are social misfits, socially awkward, and this is how they try and fit into something. That's Chrome says, I mean, what's her choice? Either go on the hunger strike or join Japanese sumo league. Ooh, that's rough. Now wait a second though. Again, take a look at that face. But let me tell you something. We have not seen the most smug face yet. It's coming up right now. Let me go over here. I'm going to pause on a certain part of this. This might be the most smug, obnoxious looking person I think I've ever seen. Here we go. Another hunger striker.
My name is David.
David, he's one of the students on hunger strikes at Princeton University, and subhanallah, he is very strong in his stance. And
there you go. Look at that face. I'm leaving that face up there. Have you ever seen anything more smug and just more in love with oneself for being the savior to the downtrodden than that face right now, right there, right now? I'm a good social misfit. More of them says, hi, listen to metal and just chill out. Oh, I think all of us have don't fit in all social situations. It's just some of us, as you said, you take what would be considered to me a healthy approach to it. Others don't. I just can't get over that. That is one of the most smug, obnoxious expressions I've ever seen. Would this make Princeton a poison ivy league? Yeah, pretty much, Chris. Ashman, Curtis, he just wants to impress the college women. Be understandable. You could be right, but to be perfectly honest with you, for me, any woman that would be impressed by that is not somebody I'd want to hang out with anyway. just for me. Here we go. Let's listen to more of this genius.
Let's hear from him.
Let's hear from him.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. We really appreciate all the support the community has been showing us in our hunger strike. It's been incredible. We have people regularly checking our vitals. We have people, constantly worried about us.
There you go. He led with why he's out there. He led about getting attention. We have people out there checking our vitals, caring about us. This is what he's been looking for in his life. You may believe that what's most important to him is the Palestinian people in Gaza. And I don't doubt that he objects to what's going on there. But the most important thing to him is what he just led with. He's getting attention, lots of it. People are bringing him stuff. You saw the smug smile. He pictures himself as the great white savior. That's what this kid thinks he is. Sideshow Man says, great, the smile when she compliments his actions. There's the motivation. You got his moment. You got it 100%. That's what it is. This is what he's been after, and he got it. Owlcatcher says, watch and observe a prime specimen of a Reddit mod. That's well said. Holy crap. Owlcatcher, this kid's got to be a Reddit mod. That's perfect. He's gotta be. Chrome says, question, how long has this hunger strike gone on for? Because he doesn't look emaciated. Why are they checking his vitals? They're checking his vitals because he's a hero, Chrome. They probably started checking his vitals, 10 minutes after breakfast when he decided that he was going on a hunger strike. Come on. That was an excellent observation, Owlcatcher. Prisma says the same thing. That's definitely a Reddit mod. Okay, I'll let you guys, if you can handle it. I almost want to puke. Want to listen to a little more.
Structures for us. We have people donating stuff all the time, like rain boots. All the stuff that we need to stay warm.
You know what I wish they'd donate to him? A hamburger. And by donate, I mean eat it in front of him.
And so, we really feel humbled because we're undertaking this action in solidarity with the Palestinian people. But what we know is that the starvation faced by the Palestinian people...
Okay, so he is just about halfway through his rant, and we finally mentioned the Palestinian people. He's taking this in solidarity with the Palestinian people. He's got people bringing him stuff, and he's going to be well taken care of, but he wants his suffering. He wants the Palestinian people who are under a military barrage to understand that he feels their pain. You're so full of shit, dude. Wolverine says, looks more like a Discord mod, not gonna lie. I don't know, Wolverine. This guy kind of has Reddit written all over him, though. But let's continue.
Are not as supported as we are. So we should always center that and remember them in our hearts, inshallah. May Allah, always make us among those who, feel the pain of the Palestinian people and remember the saying of our Prophet ﷺ that, when one part of our ummah feels pain, we all feel pain. So that we just want to make sure that, everyone is centering the people of Gaza and the people of Palestine in their hearts. And, when you do that, please come and show your support. We always need more numbers here. It's always amazing to have people, amplifying our message because that's how we put pressure on the university. The university doesn't actually...
Well, puts pressure on the university how? The university isn't beholden to you in any way, shape, or form. At all. You're not putting any pressure on them. Who gives a shit if you eat or not? Who gives a shit if your fifis are hurt or not? I just don't understand their narcissism. Yeah, like Lick says, no, I'm sure he's having just as rough a time as they are. Yeah, you're right, Licks. I mean, he can totally, completely empathize because, he hasn't eaten since breakfast today. Just give me a break with this crap. But that's the most telling thing. The first half of the video, there's people taking care of us, and they're making sure we're okay, and they're bringing us things. Oh, and yeah, those Palestinian people too. Boy, we feel bad for them. That's pretty much what you got right there.
Doing good or being altruistic. What they care about is if they look bad. So let's make them look bad, inshallah.
There. I'll let you guys sit on that smugness for a little while. And they care about if they look bad? How is any of this making them look bad in any way? Because you're not eating? That makes them look bad? This kid is so freaking full of shit. And I will... Bro never been hungry. Right, Aiden. Prisma says he sounds like the kind of guy to claim to have sympathy pains when a pregnant woman. That's great. That's great. Yeah, yes. But that's the part that really kills me. He gets his interview time, and what's he do with it? On and on about, people are taking care of us, and they're checking our vitals, and we're getting so much support. That's what he's after. He's made it clear himself. Look at this. Nobody pays any attention to this kid otherwise. Look at this. Nobody's paying attention to him. Life's not being overly kind to him. He's awkward. He's a bit of a misfit. And this is how he's trying to fit in. And I got no problem with anybody trying to fit in. I just think this makes it disingenuous and so insanely over-the-top narcissistic to think that anybody gives a shit whether you eat or not. And I will tell you guys what I think the eventuality of this is with all of them. In a relatively short period of time, they will call off the hunger strikes, and they will come out and they will claim victory. And they will say, our hunger strike is over, but we have made a difference. We have called, I can almost do their speech for them. We called attention to the plight of the Palestinian people. And through our hunger strike, well, we didn't actually accomplish anything. Nothing changed. But boy, we had a groundswell of support. And when you see that much support, it makes me feel so good because I was the center of attention. Oh, yeah, and the Palestinian people, too. Yeah, we didn't do anything for them, but, man, I'm a leader now, until I go back home and realize that nobody pays attention to me still. That's what it's going to be. Maybe oil daddies are being nice one. Could be Aiden. At the trail says he looks like a Scottish masquerading as a Muslim, and he's failing at it. That's pretty good. That's not a bad description actually, but that is just one of the most smug, self-aggrandizing faces I've ever seen. I was honestly impressed by it. It was just so obnoxious. Sideshowman says, pretty sure he's not Muslim. His fifth generation grandma might have been kind of typical American, no? I wouldn't say typical American. Typical in America. Yeah. I don't think there's enough of them laying claim to histories like that to say it's a typical American. But like I say, I would grant you it's typical in America. Big Purple Pop says the protests only get out of hand when the universities stop their security or students from stopping small escalations. They could get police to stop encampments on private property anytime they want to. And that's what I don't understand. And again, just for anybody coming in, this is not a discussion of who's right, who's wrong in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict at all. I'm talking specifically about these hunger strikes and what goes on at the college campuses. I think not only is I mean, these two are just, I think they're clowns. But when you do things like set up those encampments, absolutely 100% what you do is alienate more people to your cause. Anytime that you go about your business, and life is tough enough for all of us, and you start making things tougher for people, for innocent people around you, and then you'll have those say, well, that's the idea. That's the idea of a protest. No. A protest is designed to bring attention to an issue and try and get people on your side, because the more people you get on your side, that's when change is affected. When you go out of your way to just make life more difficult for others, everybody just hates you. And you will never make me believe anything else, because I know how I feel about them. I saw that. ODV says, at least they got the commencement ceremonies canceled. And now I see, too, that's a good point. I see kids online crying because now they're not going to get to walk. What did you think was going to happen? And again, you're allowed to protest in America. You know when you cross the lines. You know you're not allowed to take over buildings on the college grounds. You know you're not allowed to set up an encampment and take over the grounds of your university. That's against the law. It always has been against the law. It doesn't matter if you're protesting something. It doesn't matter if your fees are hurt. It's still against the law, and there are reasons those laws are in place. So then when it comes time to pay the piper, they're very anxious to go out there and sit together in their circles and sing around the campfire and everything and let the world see that, they're the great saviors. And then when it's time to pay the price for doing all that, then it's tears. I'm not good. The one girl was going, well, I graduated high school in 2020 and I didn't get to walk, which that is sad. But now you've set it up so you don't get to walk at your college graduation, and you did that. We can have tons of sympathy for you in 2020. Not your fault. That sucks for every kid that went through that. But in 2024, you did it to yourself. So cry all you want. Who cares? No sympathy for you whatsoever. Big Boss says, you never have bad takes. Oh, I don't know. Oh, there are plenty of people who think I do, pal. I think this one, just my opinion, I think this one's kind of a softball lob pitch, though. I don't think there's a lot of people that are going to be on their side. Now, I'm not saying people aren't backing the Palestinians. Again, we're not talking about the conflict. We're talking specifically about the way these college kids are going about things. I don't think you're going to find a lot of people who are really supporting them, except, the extreme wing. Sideshow Man says they inconvenience people and think the people will get mad at the reason they protest. No, I'm mad at you 100%. It's the same with blocking roads with your protests. You got all these protesters now they'll, and a lot of this I blame on the lax administrations, the lax government interventions. You start blocking people getting to the airports. You have no idea what somebody's getting to that airport for. It could be life and death, could be a last chance opportunity, and it's very possible with something like this, to get home and see a dying parent or something. And now you're blocking them, and you're expecting that person to go, oh, well, you know what? If mom or if grandma dies, well, at least I was held up in solidarity with the Palestinian people. Made no difference whatsoever as to how many live or die over there. But it got some protesters in the street some time on the local news, and they got to hang out later, at Denny's, and all sit around a table and congratulate each other for being the saviors. But other than that, you didn't do shit. Nothing. You have no pull. And if you did accomplish anything, it was just making people hate you. Prisma says, have you ever heard of an activist blues musician named Daryl Davis? He's exactly what an activist should be. He's a black man who made over 200 people leave the Ku Klux Klan just by befriending them. Wow, that's cool. No, I hadn't heard of that. I can give you guys what I think, and let me if you got a minute, let me tell you this, because I'd be really curious to see what you guys think. I can give you guys what I think is a perfect example of how not necessarily a protest, but how you bring somebody over to your way of thinking on a hot button topic. You guys remember when black players, well, I shouldn't say that, it was a lot of players, were kneeling in protest of the national anthem in the NFL. Now, my initial response to that is I'm not a fan of the kneeling during the national anthem. I want to make in no uncertain terms, I said this from day one, they have every right to do it. That's what this country is based on, is on that very principle. And the military members that I support fight for your right to be able to express your discontent. And it's totally nonviolent. It's not inconveniencing anyone. We're just talking about that. They're not inconveniencing anybody. They're expressing their discontentment. For me, I don't care for expressing it in that way. Now, I love sports. These are athletes I just admire to no end. So I don't hate on them. I just have a different take on that. But I will tell you that would not necessarily bring me closer to supporting your cause. But I'll tell you what did. I'll get right to your super chat, Nick. I promise I'll get right to it. I'll tell you what did. During that time, I saw 2 or 3 different athletes. They were all football players in different interviews. And it got to me. They were talking about, at least, well, 2 of them were, I wish I could remember which guys it was. But these are, again, athletes I admire. And they were talking about their fathers. And the one guy said, my dad was a hardworking man his whole life. And he would just get so exasperated because he would typically get stopped at least 6 times a year by the cops. And he was going back and forth to work. And he said, my dad never gave them a hard time. He was very polite. So he didn't, the cops never beat him or anything like that. They had no reason to. He was always cooperative. He said, but it just got old. That 6 times a year, and I have no reason to think this guy was lying. I've seen similar situations that make it believable. And I got thinking, I've been driving since I was 16 and a half. I've been driving professionally most of that time. I've been pulled over by the cops 7 or 8 times in my life. And his dad was getting pulled over 6 times a year. And the way he told the story of just being exasperated, that hit home for me. So it's not necessarily a big grandiose move. It's, you didn't even have to, and again, they have every right to do it. Don't get me wrong. But you weren't striking necessarily a sympathetic chord with me by kneeling during the national anthem just because it's not a preferred way that it's not something I like seeing. But when you tell me the story, tell me a story like that, it's like, yeah, I'm on your team. Because something needs to change, because that's not fair. If wherever his dad worked, if the guy next to him in wherever he was working, in that office, in that workshop, in that factory, wherever he was working, if the white guys weren't also getting stopped 6 times a year, and I doubt that they were, then that's bullshit. So a lot of times it's just, it doesn't even have to be something big. It doesn't have to be a big moment. Just telling somebody your story. That's, I don't know, that's how, to me, that's how you get to people. Nick says, I feel bad for the ones that have nothing to do with this that won't get to walk now. They don't deserve. Oh, 100%, Nick. I couldn't agree with that more. That's just terrible. That's awful. And just like I was saying with that other girl was talking, a lot of these kids that are graduating college this year would have graduated high school in 2020. So can you imagine not being able to walk in your high school graduation because of COVID, and then you can't walk in your college graduation because of nimnods who can't control their protests? Oh, man. Maximus says, that's it. I'm getting a Big Mac out of spite. Grigsby says, I'm not a fan of the national anthem in general. It's a bit too over nationalistic for me. I can understand that. I can't say I share that sympathy, but I could understand somebody seeing it as a little cringe. I will say this: America has, as far as I know, the only national anthem in the world, and this isn't something that I say to demean it. Like I say, I'm a fan of the national anthem, but we have the only one in the world that basically glorifies war. Wendy says, but if he didn't kneel, he wouldn't have been able to tell the story. Sure he would. I don't even know if he was one of the guys that was kneeling. He told the story because it was in an interview on ESPN. It didn't even have to be related to that. That's exactly my point, actually, Wendy. These are high-profile athletes who are in front of cameras all the time. Trust me, if they wanted to tell a story, there's plenty of people there that want to hear their story. He didn't tell this on the sideline, and as far as I remember, he didn't tell this because he himself was kneeling. They were just talking about how black people in America are treated differently than white people in America. And all I'm saying is that story hit home. He could have told that story way before anybody may have, and I just may not have seen it. But that's the one that hit me. That hits home, because that's something I can really relate to. Because that's what I would feel the same way. If I was getting pulled over 6 times a year, I would have been the same as his dad. It's like, okay, the cops are doing a job. I'm not gonna make it worse for myself by giving them a lot of shit. I just want to get it over with, just like his dad did. But it would suck. It would have to suck to be driving to work every day and looking in your mirror going, oh, fuck, here we go. Owlcatcher says they were telling their stories mostly for their own popularity and attention, at least in my opinion. Owlcatcher, the NFL players, I disagree. I can tell you something else too. We used to, when I lived in California, when I was working out at the boxing gym, it was very multiracial. We had lots of black folks, we had lots of Hispanic folks, we had lots of white folks, and me and my friends from there, if we'd go out to get food or something like that, it was a running joke because probably my closest friend in the gym, Al was a black guy, and we would decide who was going to drive, and it would always be, oh, let Rusty drive because that way we won't get pulled over. I mean, it was, and we'd all, including Al. Al was usually the one making the joke. You drive, we don't want to get pulled over. And we laugh about it, but when I think about it, that's kind of sad. That we knew, and we were making jokes about the fact that odds of us getting pulled over were way better if Al was driving. And this is going back. This is late 70s when that happened even more often. Prisma says, social politics in general just kind of scare me, mostly because how people on all sides of the political spectrum act in relation to it. All the outrage makes it feel like a minefield. Yeah, Prisma, this is, and it's due to social media. And again, I'm not, listen, I love technology. You guys know that. But it's just the hard truths. I mean, social media has changed the landscape of everything. And with social media being out there, the country has never had this type of divide. And I do remember the days of the hippies and the construction workers battling and stuff. And as bad as that was during the Vietnam War and all, it was nothing like it is now. Gimster says, speaking of racism, with the story you told, my aunties and uncles were being harassed by cops when they were teens. Pigs started to beat my uncle who used crutches, so my aunt started swinging. Yeah, and listen, even I am more than willing to admit, even though as I am generally a supporter of law enforcement officers, there are bad ones. I've seen some of the bad ones. And I find them to be particularly heinous. Because you take a job that by its very nature is to protect those who can't protect themselves, and instead you victimize people, fuck you. But I don't paint with a broad brush and say, well, that cop was garbage, so they all are. That's stupid. It's stupid in any situation, no matter what it is, to paint everybody of a whatever, like job, like race, like religion, the same because of the actions of one is just the epitome of idiocy. But yes, there are bad cops out there. And will say, as far as where I find common ground with those who are anti-police, I don't think in general those cops are punished severely enough. I think there's just basically nothing worse than somebody whose very job, their livelihood, to many of them, their life, is to protect people, and you victimize people. That's nothing worse. There's nothing worse. S-Line says, to add to my previous message, I more so have a problem with people saying things they don't mean. Phrases like, I love something are trivialized by their overusage. Yeah, I don't necessarily think that saying, I know what you're saying, S-Line. I love something. I think that's an exaggeration. It's misused. You're right. I don't think that's particularly them saying something they don't mean. I think it's just poor choice of words. But I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, a lot of very important words have been trivialized. And it's just like when you have people online calling other people racists simply because they disagree with them. If somebody says, no, I'm for a secure border, we have to know who's coming into our country, and you go racist, you're just weakening the word, because there's nothing racist about that whatsoever. I mean, every country, again, I'm not speaking just for America, every nation, you got to be crazy if you don't want to know who's coming across your borders. Paxlook says, qualified immunity for police shouldn't be a thing. If you violate someone's rights as a cop and inflict harm on them, you should go to prison just like you would if the situation was reversed. That I agree with 100%. And again, I consider myself a supporter of law enforcement. But like anything else, that comes with parameters. I'm a supporter of law enforcement officers who are enforcing the law and protecting the innocent. If you operate outside of those parameters, fuck you. Go to jail. Chrome says, kneeling is easy. Taking an actual action that will lead to change is hard. Get some good boy points. Serotonin for Colin and sports deals. I don't know that I go quite that far, Chrome, because I get why they wanted to take a knee, and I get what they were trying to convey. I just don't agree with doing it in that manner. That's just not for me. I do think that whole protest, they made it tougher on themselves because they were talking about police killing black people. But the numbers don't back up the idea of police killing black people at an unusual rate. It doesn't. I mean, even per capita, more white people get killed by police. It's easy to look back now, but if they'd have gone more with that angle I described about black people getting harassed by police at a higher rate, I know that doesn't seem to have the same impact when you want to make a statement, but that's true. I mean, we see that all the time. Anybody who's my age, who's lived in America their whole life and said they haven't seen that, is living in a fantasy world. Because especially when I was young, you bet your ass black people were treated different than white people by a disturbing number of police officers. I've told you guys before, to this day it happens. You would not believe how often, and I am thankful, it doesn't seem to be quite as often now as it used to be. But when you're out in a social situation, if you're in a convenience store, anywhere, people see somebody that looks like me, an old white guy, and you got only white people in this social situation, you would be shocked to see how comfortable they are with doing things like throwing around the N-word or other slurs. It's like, what? And then, because when I hear it, I've told you guys, I don't like the N-word. And I am huge. I don't even believe the concept of curse words. I think the idea that shit, ooh, is a bad word and poopy is cute is moronic. And I think we're lesser people for giving weight to certain words just strictly by the configuration of the letters. But that's not true of the N word. That word exists for one reason and one reason only. And that was to demean people. That was to put them in their place. And that's why I don't use it. I don't use the word. Never. The only time I've ever used that word is in conversation about it. If we're talking about the use of the N word before it became uncomfortable for people, for a white guy to even say it, I would say the word in that conversation, but I've never used it at anyone. It's the only word I can think of like that. It's just distasteful to me. And for people to feel comfortable saying it around me or even to me in conversation because I'm an old white guy pisses me off. Wolverine says the only enemy we should band against are vegans. Yeah, you guys don't have to worry about that. I am the furthest thing from a vegan life could ever find. Griggsy says, I like swearing, but not the N-word. Right. Because I don't consider the N-word a swear word. It's a vile word. It's way beyond just a swear word. Because again, and I understand, because you hear that from white people all the time too. Well, how come black people can say it? You really don't know why? It's because that word was used to demean them and belittle them. And so now if black culture wants to grab hold of that word and say, there you go, now it's ours, we can say it and you can't. I'm cool with that. I'm like, yeah, I get that. I completely get why you feel that way, and I'm go for it. Yeah, I love a good swear too, Griggsy. I think, again, the concept, shit's a bad word. Douchebag's a bad word. It's a feminine hygiene product. Is it nice to compare someone to a feminine hygiene product and call them a douchebag? No. But is it a swear word? Probably not. Jesus Christ. Powers the Titty Goblin says, petition to bring back the best C word in America. 4 letters, very crisp and powerful. And then even that word. Just talking female anatomy. Why is that one so desperately horrible when others are not, that describe the exact same thing? It's stupid. Chrome says, I think there are problems, but I think the people who are propped up don't actually care and use the issues to their benefit instead of to improve the situation. Al Sharpton. Oh, I think there are people who fit that. Oh, yeah. And I agree. Al Sharpton is one of them, Chrome. Yeah, I agree. There are a lot of people. And that's on both sides of the issue. There are grifters on both sides who profit from a racial divide. I don't think it's true with all people. Again, I talk about, those football players I was talking about and stuff. Those are just their life stories. But yes, are there people? Oh, hell, you see it on social media all the time. I mean, there are so many garbage people on social media, especially Twitter. That's where a lot of the political conversation goes. And by garbage people, I mean those who intentionally exaggerate or twist anything they can to try and take a shot at the other team. And what's worse than them are the mindless drones, and that's both sides too, who jump right in to support them. Yeah, you're right. You tell. No, they're not right. They made some shit up. Or they took something out of context. They're not right at all. And you're a fucking moron for thinking they are. Right. Big Purple Pops is right. It's easier to get power by saying everyone on that side is objectively bad than to make people think for 10 minutes. And that's the long and short of social media right there. You're 100% right. Owlcatcher says, yeah, I've been hearing bits and pieces of this. I don't even know everything that went on there. Speaking of grifters, certain racist Nick has been unbanned on Twitter a couple days ago. I got to look more into that. I really don't know a lot about it. Dayton Chris says, when I was in middle school, I was with my mom and we were waiting for these two dudes to cross the grocery store parking lot. One of them looked at my mom and said, don't hit me. Ugh. Yeah, it's just disgusting. There's shitty, disgusting people out there. But yeah, that's why it cracks me up when I see or hear people my generation talking about the good old days. No, some things were way better back then, without a question. For the most part, the old days sucked. Women were treated, it was just a given that you were a second-class citizen in the majority of circles in society when I was a kid. Black people the same way. I never, that was one thing that, now when I was real little, I went to the most homogenous school you've ever seen. I told you guys the story of Robert before. He was my friend in 4th grade, but he was the first black person I'd ever really met on a social level. But the way women were treated, and right in front of the world, they would make commercials. I wish I could remember what that one was for. Because even as a kid, I remember thinking, wow, you're basically saying that the mom of this household does nothing but hang around and eat bonbons and take naps during the day, while the poor, grinded out husband has to, go in and put in the hours and bring home the bacon. And it's like, my mom works her ass off all day. In the summer when I was home from school, I see it. No, but it was accepted. Going nowhere says, I agree. They're just words. I don't see why some people get so uptight over swearing. Me either. Like I say, that's the only word I can think of that I just do not use is the N-word. But as I also said, I don't consider that a swear word. I consider that several levels above a swear word. That's just a vile, mean-spirited, nasty word. Sweet Dude says, I love your stories with Robert. Those were fun videos too. Yeah. That was a unique experience, and him and I sharing that love of baseball, because didn't have many big baseball fans in my school. I mean, well, they were baseball fans, but not real baseball fans. To me, I told you guys, and this is the true story. I might have been around 4th grade. You got to remember, back then, you had 3 channels on the TV. I got to see very little Major League Baseball. You listen to games on the radio. And I just wanted to absorb. I would bring home books from the school library and the bookmobile that would come to the school, anything I could find on baseball and everything. My dad, at a flea market or something, found me the Major League Baseball rule book. It was soft covered and probably at least this thick. And I would sit and read that freaking thing. That's how demented I was for baseball. I would sit there and read the rule book. I didn't know this one. That was messed up. Kaz says, my understanding of extremist politics is that the far right wants to return to an imaginary past, while progressives want to achieve a future that can never exist. I think that's well said. I think that's really well stated. That's in a nutshell, and you're right. It's the extremists. Again, we're not painting across the board, but yeah, 100%. I agree with you. Pax says it's also crazy how sexual harassment used to be normalized. Oh yeah, there are old commercials on YouTube where men are just straight up sexually harassing women for oh yeah, 100%, absolutely, and the worst part about it was, well, let me put it this way: in wrestling locker rooms, nothing is sacred. When we had women wrestlers in there, I've done things that would be considered sexual harassment on a huge number of occasions. However, that's because that was our group and that's how we did it. Nobody was offended because they would sexually harass me too. They would physically harass me. That's wrestling locker rooms. But what you're talking about is, 100%. The women wanted no part of it. But the men would just slap her on the ass like, and all the boys would have a good chuckle. Powers the Titty Goblin says, we find a new color of lizard and everyone wants to protect them. But look at the human rainbow that exists, and for some reason our rock brains start grunting at us. Crazy how that works. Sweet Dude says, funny library story. In elementary school, I got a Captain Underpants and Avatar The Last Airbender book. Nice. I looked to what dumbass turned a great show into a dumb book. I got lost there. Hey, Owlcatcher, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Owlcatcher just gifted 5 Special Voice Comedy memberships. Who got them? Chrome and Shelby writes, Nelly B, Jumo Joe, and Richard. Thank you, Owlcatcher. That was very kind of you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. Chrome says, I'm curious, did you ever see that Reddit mod on the news whining about how he shouldn't need a job? Oh, I think so, Chrome. That sounds familiar. Yes, I did. I can't remember all the details, but when you said that, that sounded familiar. Yeah. Thanks again, Owlcatcher. That was very cool of you. I don't know, guys. It just... And just what we were talking about at the top here with, this face here and everything. That face is a direct result of social media. Because that's what he's after, is to be accepted. Have people telling him that he is the great savior. He's taking care of things for people. And for those of you who are here when we watched the video, the first half is entirely him talking about himself and the things that people are doing for him and for them. And then, almost grudgingly, then we start talking about the Palestinians and what they're going through and how he wants to be able to, empathize with them because he's not going to eat breakfast or lunch today. Owlcatcher says, no problem. It's rare for me to catch a stream, and I've always been a bit of gifter. Well played, Owlcatcher. Since we just had that grifter right up on the screen. I appreciate that, though. That's very kind of you. Chrome says, can we call that guy Bizarro Spaz Kid? Because he does look a little like him. Spaz Kid's Mirror Universe evil counterpart. Yeah. Only if it's made very clear that it's the polar opposite. It's the Bizarro world, yeah. Oh, that face. Kaz says, speaking of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, I've spoken to people actually affected by it. Most of them want coexistence. Islamists and Kahanists are the loud minorities on their sides. Yeah, and the thing of it is, that's why I'm glad to talk with you guys about anything, but I don't make a strong stance on the issue because, first of all, again, I try and only make a stance as strong as I feel my knowledge is on a topic, and my knowledge is not that good. And how many thousands of years has there been unrest in the Middle East? It's difficult to have a true and real understanding of all the dynamics. Yeah, agree with that, Gimster. One of the only good things from the good old days were gas prices. 100%. I don't know if we digitized that. We had old 8mm film, home movie film. I was probably 4 or 5. And my father ran a gas station. He had his own gas station. I'm trying to remember, because you get a shot of the sign, with the gas prices in there. It was either 13 or 17 cents a gallon. My parents had some of those old videos digitized, those old films. I'll have to, if I ever find it, because now I have stuff here to digitize VHS. I shouldn't say digitize. They had it transferred to VHS. If I can find it, I will. I'll convert it and I'll post it for you guys. Powers the Titty Goblin says political parties were a mistake. We should have stuck to promoting based on good character and merit, not stereotypes. That would be the ideal situation. S-Wine says lies spread faster than the truth because lies are crafted to be more emotion-inducing. Correct. The truth is often boring in comparison, 100%. And that's what the dirt bags of social media take advantage of. And as I've said, though, what really aggravates me is how easily people are manipulated by it. Because they want something to be true. Chrome's got a link. This one, he was a mod for the anti-work Reddit.
For 1.6 million subscribers.
Anti-work Reddit has 1.6 million members.
Anti-work group. Doreen.
Oh
Ford.
boy.
All right, so Doreen, why do
That's
you like the
definitely
idea
a
of being
Reddit
home,
mod.
not working, but still getting paid
you guys can
by
hear this
corporate
at least.
America?
Yeah. So there's some misconceptions about the movement. So we're a movement where we want to reduce the amount of work that people feel like they're forced to do, and so we want to still put in effort. We want to put in labor, but we don't want to necessarily
Actually really
be in a
work.
position where we feel trapped. You just quoted from Office Space, where that person feels very trapped in their job. I think we're calling for a society where there's less of that. But yeah, absolutely, people
this
still
is good.
want to do things. They just want
Check
to do
if you
things
guys
where
are
they
hearing
feel
this.
rewarded and they feel like they're in a good spot in their life.
I gotta
and
grab
that their job respects them and stuff like
video
that.
for you guys.
There's varying
So
positions on
so Doreen, but you're not being forced to work. This isn't slave labor. You've applied for a job. You've agreed to the terms and conditions of the employment. And you can
This is
walk
good
away
shit,
from that
you guys.
job at any time and quit. So I don't understand really what this is about, except it sounds like maybe people are just being lazy. Are you encouraging people to be lazy?
So I think laziness is
Me.
virtue in a society where people constantly want you to be productive 24/7, and it's good to have rest. That doesn't mean you should be resting all the time or not putting effort into things that you care about.
Never wanted me to
But I
be
think one of
productive
the-
What do you think
24/7.
is
They
like a
don't.
good work day? How many hours is a solid work day in your ideal society?
Sure. I mean, I think as much as people want. I mean, I personally work. I have like a 25 hour work weeks, which I think is fairly good. So I would like less work hours.
And what do you do, Doreen?
I'm a dog walker.
A dog walker. Okay.
Yeah. So
How old are you?
That
if
is
you don't
tough
mind
stuff.
me asking?
Sure, I'm 30.
You're 30. Okay. And is there something you want to do besides being a dog walker? Do you aspire to do
I'm cool.
anything more than dog walking, or is that kind of your pinnacle?
I love working with dogs. If I had to do this for the rest of my life, I wouldn't be super complaining. Dogs are wonderful animals. But I would love to teach. I would love to.
You're gonna take any steps to be a teacher?
Work with people and stuff like that.
What would you teach, Doreen?
Philosophy mostly, just introduction to philosophy, critical thinking, reason, stuff like that.
Oh,
Well, I would love to
the
take your class,
critical
Doreen.
thinker.
I would just be taking notes the whole time.
Wow.
And you know what? A professor's a very similar schedule
I'm
than
sorry. I just
something that you're imagining. So I think that actually might work perfectly for you. Listen,
I
think this
can't
might
anymore.
not be the-
It just makes me. It makes me want. I can't say what it makes me want to do to that kid. I can't. Yeah, good point. Allcatcher says it's really hard to make Jesse Waters look like the agreeable person in the room. That's well said and so true. It's the dog walker redditor. Yeah. I can't. That actually gets me annoyed to the point where I just got to turn it off. The kid's a moron, and he wants to teach He wants society to work in the large scale, have all our society work and be perfectly functional, while people only work whatever they're comfortable with. And his critical thinking skills don't even give him a hint that might lead to societal collapse. Stuff him in a locker. Let's go with that, Chrome. Yeah. Let's go with that. Yeah, Big Boss says he's exactly what you'd expect. 100%. Nectar says it's the famous dog walker Redditor. I still remember when this happened. Entire Reddit was in flames for a few weeks. He did look oily too. You're right, Chrome. That's terrifying. The critical thinker. I know I'm signing up for the class. You guys got to be too, right? Unfreaking believable. Wow. The 30-year-old who sued his parents for throwing him out, Sideshow Man? Oh, great. Oh, brilliant. Oh, shit. I just took time. I got to go, you guys. Guys, thank you so much for this stream. This was an absolute blast. Holy crap. And one more quick glance. Just in case you wanted to see the smuggest, most obnoxious face that you'll see for quite some time, if not ever. I just thought I'd give you one last look. Hold on, let me grab Gimster's super chat. The guy's excuse me, I'm sorry. The guy has never worked a day in his life and hasn't left his mom's basement for more than 5 hours a day. Kabuto is more likable than him. No, you're not lying, Gimster, and you're not exaggerating. I mean, he is. That is, boy, I don't even know. Who's more unlikable? That kid or this guy? I don't think I can make a call. Yeah, Kabuto actually put in a lot of work. Good point, Nectar. Right. So Kabuto is definitely several steps above both these guys. That I don't know how you. That's a flip a coin. And I can't say. I got so many things I want to say, and I can't say it on YouTube of what I think about them. I have to keep censoring myself. Oh shit! All right, you guys. Again, guys, thanks for the stream, and I'll be back. Like I told you guys, I want to move a lot of overall content. Instead of making a video about this, I decided to do a stream about it. Overall content here to streams, because again, for those of you who don't know, the movie and TV reactions and the stuff associated with that are going to be moving over to the Grandpa Curtis reaction channel. Oh, and it was you guys who helped me think of the name Grandpa Curtis Reactions. I just want to let you guys know too, things have started to pop there. It's amazing the difference. In just these few weeks, couple of weeks, I think, that I've been running that channel, we're already getting substantial amounts of notice in the YouTube search. In other words, YouTube is sending the word out there. We're up to like 2,300 subscribers, and a video I posted yesterday is at like 1,600 views. Things are getting pushed, and they never, ever get pushed here. So we may have made the right call there. I think if things continue this way, we could really have a nice situation over there for all you guys who enjoy the reaction stuff. A nice situation there in a channel that can actually be given an opportunity to thrive. If you search it, it'll come right up. I'll catch it. It's Grandpa Curtis Reactions. And that's where everything, like I say, all that stuff's going to go. As a matter of fact, the next movie I do, I might post it here, but even if I do, it'll go there first. I'm going to start moving everything that way because YouTube has already shown that they're willing to help us with that channel, and they've long since washed their hands here. S-Wine says, movie react channels have been blowing up, so you're definitely supplying to a market with demand. I agree, S-Blank, and it's something I really enjoy. And it's funny how here, I'm anxious to see, because now that we're getting, initially it was the people that were there were just you guys who were kind enough to come over and enjoy that type of thing. But now it's getting its own traction and bringing in viewers from elsewhere, from the greater YouTube area. It's going to be interesting to see now, like, The Room didn't do anything for views here. I'm going to give it some time, and then I'm going to post that over there as well. I'll bet you, even with those limited number of subscribers, I'll bet you The Room outperforms The Room here with 300,000 subscribers. I'll be interested to see. Star Wars Episode 2 eventually. Lemanu, I can't give you a date because I don't want to go into all the details right now. Most of you know I'm dealing with some strife, some issues over at the Goose that's put some things on hold. But eventually, and that should get squared away soon. Eventually, yes. Yes, it will. Kimster says, okay, now that being said, can you make another 7 more channels to catch up on everything? My requests are always reasonable. It does show just how stupid YouTube is. 100%, Chrome. 100%. Because you'll see if I were to show you the metrics. Now, if I post a movie here, it'll get an initial hit of viewers, you guys, whoever they think they might recommend it to, and limited release in a sidebar, mainly to people who have shown an interest in this channel before. And so you get the graph for it'll go boom, and then it levels off, and it stays level forever. Now what happens over there, I'll post it, it gets that little bump of the regular users, and then it'll level out for a little bit, and YouTube will be testing the waters with it, sending it out, further than just our reach, and then all of a sudden it goes whoop, and it comes up, because then we get the chance to be seen by other people. People end up actually liking it. The YouTube algorithm finds out that people are liking it, and they keep pushing it. And that never happens here. It never happens. We get that initial push, and then you level off, and then YouTube drops the video and moves on. And it doesn't matter how well it did, with you guys. It doesn't matter. They just drop it. Just one more week. Well, it's 10 business days, Chrome. 10 business days they have to respond. We've been through that before. It was the same thing here at YouTube back when they would hit with copyright claims instead of just blocks that YouTube facilitated. But using the, God, why did the name of the site go out of my mind? Streamable. Streamable is really easy to use. And from what everybody's saying, I guess there's a significant number of YouTubers who are also put their content on Patreon who use Streamable, and Streamables, wow, really, really good stuff. More movies. Yeah. The movies are a blast. Powers. The movies are an absolute blast. I love doing them. But like I say, they will be moving over there. I'm still. Oh, I gotta post that right now. Hold on a second, guys. Before I say goodbye, I'm glad you guys brought that up. I forgot. I've got today's video. I haven't made it live yet over there. It's we're going through Harry Potter over there. It's Half-Blood Prince. I completely forgot to make that available. Glad you guys said that. Glad you guys brought this up. Okay, now that one's available. Yeah, and yesterday I I watched the Amazing Digital Circus pilot. And I can tell you guys right now, it was just a little over 24 hours ago I posted it. There's 2,300 subscribers. And right now, that video has 1,641 views. Now, keep in mind, we have 300,000 subscribers here and generally don't make it to 3,000 views on a video. Less than 1%. This one will shortly be even. It'll get 100% views per subscribers. That's an insane, ridiculous difference. I love Harold and Kumar Lamanu. That would have to come later because I have seen it, but I would like to rewatch it. So I'm trying to do all the stuff I haven't seen first. But I have seen Harold and Kumar. I love those movies. Mainly because of oh my gosh, why is his name going on my head? Neil Patrick Harris. making him the womanizer, and that is, with him being gay and everything, is so funny. And he's hilarious. He's one of my favorites. Oh yeah, YouTube would tell you this is perfectly reasonable without a doubt, Chrome. Without a doubt. But yet now, oh yeah, yesterday's video I posted there far outperformed the video I posted here. Far outperformed it. Excuse me. Don't stop me now. It's been stuck in my head for days now. My voice can barely handle my imitation of Mercury's vocal techniques. He's my all-time favorite musical artist, Freddie Mercury and Queen. Okay, I do have to go. I know I keep saying that, but really this time, guys, thanks again for hanging out with me. This was a blast. And I'll be back with another stream as soon as I possibly can. This is, like I say, I really enjoy this time spent with you guys. All right, I'll talk to y'all soon.